Hello, this is Minister Terry Bullis with To the Point, our 15-minute or less episode where we're going to give you a sermon today about moving forward and leaving the past behind. And if you're like me, I dwell on my past quite a bit. I'm always thinking about old friends, good memories from my childhood, good memories of things that happened to me in my early 20s, early adulthood, and I dwell on those things. Now, with the invention of Facebook, you reconnect with old high school friends, um, friends from the neighborhood, and such, and sometimes you want to dive back into the past. And on the surface level, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, maybe you've developed a lot of really good memories from the past. The problem is that a lot of people have changed. They've moved on with their life. And so we develop relationships just knowing about a person, but not really knowing them, who they are now. It's been my experience that I may want to go back to the past to rekindle a friendship or such. But those people, many time, they're just caught up and busy in life. They have new relationships, new friendships. They have families. They live far away. People are just busy. And so what happens is sometimes for those of us who want to go back to the past and rekindle a friendship, we tend to get disappointed because that person's not reciprocating that desire to do that with us, or they're just too busy. They've moved on. Okay, so that's one thing that we're going to talk about today about moving forward and moving away from the past. There's nothing wrong with good memories. There's no nothing wrong with going down memory lane. Now, what about those relationships? They could be current. It could be just in the within the last few years, or maybe it's a deep relationship that happened a long time ago, but you're holding on to grudges, hurt feelings, you have no peace about it, and so um, the mention of that person's name just infuriates you because of something that they did, something they didn't own up to, something they didn't apologize for, they hurt you about something. So that's the thing we're really going to talk about the past, about moving away from that and moving forward in life. And for some of us, this can be really tough. This is even, I mean, I am a pastor now of an online church. I've been a minister since 2012. And being an independent minister, you know, you're always looking for opportunities where you can serve. And so a few years ago, I served at a church plant out in Baltimore, Maryland. Um, and I tell you what, I'm not even going to mention the name of the church. I'm not trying to start any issues, but I'm going to try to keep it. I will try to not mention any names about this. But I was involved with something for the very first time. I got the opportunity to speak in public. I got the opportunity to pray in public. I learned through trial and error how to pray in public and how to minister to people. So I actually was given some opportunities. I volunteered at this church startup, and in the beginning things were going really swell. I was meeting some people, some new experiences. It was exciting, and I really enjoyed doing it at first. But over time, things started happening. Envy and jealousy started happening um, between leadership, and I just started seeing a nasty side of things. Um, Maybe I was wet behind the ears getting involved in ministry for the first time and not realizing that um, some leadership of churches or ministries act a lot like people do in the real world, and they really don't really act a whole lot like church folks, so to speak, behind the scenes. So I kind of learned about those things. Um, and then over time, as I spoke up, gave my opinion about things, I was slowly but surely pushed away. Um, and then some hard feelings started taking root, some bitterness, disappointment, hurt feelings, and those kind of things started happening. So it can happen to people in the church world. I've been talking to some folks, and they say it happens more often to people in the church world than it does in um, mainstream. And so today we're going to talk about that. How do we move forward, and how do we forget the past, or forgive or let go of the past? So, what I'd like to tell you is this: is that there are people that unfortunately they hide behind the cloth. They hide in churches. A lot of times they are in leadership, and these people are are people who seek power. They're power hungry. They're hungry for control over other people's lives. And it's very unfortunate, but the Bible talks about these people. Early on, the Apostle Paul talked about what he called wolves in sheep's clothing. And these guys will talk about love. They will have a good sermon. They will have a charismatic personality, and they will draw you to themselves. Um, but the Bible all talks about these are the kind of people that steal from widows and orphans. They steal your good-natured um, desires and twist them, and they hand it right back to you without any peace. The Apostle Paul talked about when you go, well, actually, Jesus talked about when you go into a village to preach the good news. You go to the first home and give your peace to that home. If they don't return the peace, if they don't receive your peace, then the peace shall return to you, and you are to leave that home. So the good news is about speaking about Jesus Christ, about what he did on the cross. And we know this. It's story's been told over 2,000 years about what Jesus did. And so we're supposed to go in and talk to people and to love on them and go with a true heart. And we should do that in the churches. And everything should be hunky dory. But unfortunately, it's not always like that. And so if you're dealing with someone who robbed you from your peace, that you had good intentions, you tried to care for them, you tried to love them, you tried to do the right thing, and somehow, somewhere there was a discord, and they are the type of people that don't apologize. They're the type of people that are always right. They're legalistic. They accuse you of things. They twist the truth. And they're so good at doing it that you start second guessing yourself, wondering if you were right or wrong. But all along you know you're right. You know that you did things with your heart and you did them out of love, but they twist it so bad that you start developing depression. Now you need emotional healing and spiritual healing. If that be you, I want to let you know that that also be me. It's now 2018, toward the end of 2018. This is the day after Christmas, 12/26, 2018. And yesterday, on Christmas Day, I finally was called out on something, and I had to get angry. And the anger was a righteous anger, which has now allowed me to move forward in this life, to move on from my past. From that church experience that I had in 2000 and I believe it was 2015, 16. Um, I was so hurt that I had to go in seclusion for a while. I had to go on my own Bible study and not go to church. I actually didn't go to church for about 6 months. It kept me from fellowship. It kept me from being out with other like-minded Christians because of this experience, and I actually felt like I was shunned from the church. I wasn't allowed to have fellowship within the members of this church that I actually um, co-pastored, so to speak. Um, it's just terrible. But I always thought that I could try to fix things, and I could try to, I've always wanted to fix the person that hurt me, and because I cared about this person, I loved this person, I genuinely loved them, but I was hurt so bad by this person, and I come to realize that this person was just a wolf in sheep's clothing, unfortunately. Person who has some deep-rooted emotional and spiritual issues, led astray by um, greed, by power, narcissistic mindset, or maybe he's just a narcissist. Um, but it's time for me to have my peace. And so, what we have to do is sometimes just stop. We have to shut a person out of our lives so that we can move forward. So, the Apostle Paul talks about, when you go into a place and a village, or and the same application could be applied to what you're going through with people. When you are in a place, you leave that town and kick the dust off your feet so that it will be a record that you're moved forward, that you're moving on from this place. Don't allow the dust from that town to be on your shoes. So, yesterday, Christmas Day, I get a text message about a legal issue from a person that hasn't even spoken to me over in a year. They had the audacity to call me out on Christmas Day to ask me to take down a picture from a Facebook post because the picture was from the inside of their church. Um, I wasn't speaking about their church. I was using the picture from a ministry. And here's the thing, that church ministry used several pictures of me, showing pictures of fellowship and all these things. And I've never ever once, even after I left the church, I never said take down my pictures. I didn't think about it. But the one picture I used, they made a complaint on Christmas Day. Couldn't wait until another day. Had to take me away from family and friends, and I had to deal with this issue right away and take down the picture from a Facebook post that I made and a picture that I used on my podcast on healing service. So, anyway, I'm telling you this because in life sometimes we have to deal with wolves in sheep's clothing. And so I got angry, and the anger has allowed me to move on, to finally take back my peace, that the peace that was stolen from me. So now I have no attachments to this former church plant startup that's no longer in existence today. They're not even using their ministry as a church anymore. But they're so twisted. I don't know what else to say. That he has to call me, text message me on Christmas Day. Well, if that be you, anything you're dealing with, I want to let you know that you can move on from it. If you have to get a little angry to shut someone out, it's okay. Your peace needs to return to you. And I tell you this so that you can move forward in life as well. Take your peace back. Today is a new day. It's the 26th of December, and I am at peace and ready to move forward. This is Minister Terry with To the Point.